Did you bring your report with you?
I did.
I'm going to take it away, and if you need it, I can give it back.
Okay. Well, we can do the whole thing.
Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Todd Kurtzhals. Last name is spelled Kurtzhals.
And what is your occupation?
Right now I work for the Village of Boyceville.
And how long have you been employed as a sworn law enforcement officer?
Almost 32 years.
And back in March of 2018, where were you employed?
At the Dunn County Sheriff's Department, I was a sergeant of investigations.
How long did you work with the Dunn County Sheriff's Office?
Since 1993.
On March 23rd of 2018, did you learn that a deceased male was located near 430th Avenue?
I did.
What, if anything, were you assigned to do to assist with this investigation?
Upon arrival at the scene, had a debriefing with two Eau Claire detectives, Prock and Piper. It was decided that I would be tasked, along with investigator Rod Dykus, to secure a search warrant and bring it to the scene for the car that the victim was located in.
And then the next day, on March 24th of 2018, did you assist with the autopsy of this adult male?
Yes.
What did you do?
I met the medical examiner, Marcy Rosas, at the Olson, Marcy Rosas, R-O-S-A-S, medical examiner for Dunn County. Met her at the Olson Funeral Home, where the victim was located. We secured the victim, and we transported to the Ramsey Hospital in the cities, to the medical examiner's office there. Yeah.
And when you assisted with the transport to the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's office, when the body was picked up from Olson's funeral home, was the bag secure?
Yes, it was. It had a lock on it.
And you followed the body all the way to the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's office?
I rode with medical examiner Rosas. I was in the passenger front seat, and she drove.
And did you or anyone else tamper with the body in any way?
No.
What happened, I guess, let me start over. Were you present during the autopsy of Alex?
Yes.
What was your role during the autopsy?
Just simply to make sure that the evidence was not tampered with and secure, and I was there to observe that entire time, not much past that.
And do you know what happened to Alex's clothes after the autopsy?
Yes, the medical personnel there, they hung it on a nearby table in the autopsy room because there was concern that might not be completely dry. They didn't want to present a bigger biohazard than needed be, so they were going to dry it out, secure the evidence later on.
And then before you went to pick up Alex's clothes, did you assist in executing a search warrant at Alex's house at 511 Cameron Street?
Yes, I did.
And were some items seized from Alex's house in case they had any evidentiary value?
Yes.
May I approach?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 648. What is that document?
This is the Dunn County Sheriff's Office property inventory record. There's Investigator Rod Dykus' name at the top of it.
And does this contain the evidence that was seized from 511 Cameron Street?
Yes, it indicates items 37 through 48 here. I'm sorry, through 52.
And was a black Asus laptop, computer, and charger from the bed seized during that search warrant?
Yes, that would be the item indicated by item number 37 on this form.
Could we get a spelling of that?
It would be A-S-U-S. Thank you.
And was a yellow Amazon tablet taken?
Yes, this is item 38 on this form.
And was a Samsung tablet with a pink leather cover and keyboard taken?
Yes.
And do you recall seeing a number of books located on a bookshelf during the execution of the search warrant?
Yes.
May I approach? Sorry, what?
Yes. You may approach.
I'm showing you it's been marked as exhibits 645, 646, and 647. Do you
Okay.
recognize seeing these items during the search warrant?
Yep, I do.
And a request to move these into evidence and request to publish them for the jury?
No objection.
So that's 645, 646, 647?
Yes.
Those will be received. Are you offering 648?
No, not at this time.
Okay, you may publish them.
I'm first showing you exhibit 645. And what is depicted in this photograph?
It's a bookshelf with several books
And
and
is
some
this-
journals.
And if you were standing outside and walking in the room, is this what you would observe?
Yes.
I'm showing you 646. What's depicted in this photograph?
Same thing, closer shot.
So there are two large bookshelves.
Yes.
And exhibit 647, what's depicted in this photograph?
It's a trunk and various items right next to a mattress lying on the floor. The mattress would be to the right side. This would be immediately to the left.
And it appears that there's a book on the trunk there. Are you able to make out any words on that?
Adieu to Emmanuel Lebanon, I think it's Lebanos or something.
And that was the book that was located next to the bed when you executed the search warrant.
Yes, it was.
And looking at that property inventory sheet, that book was not taken as part of this case, is that right?
Correct.
I'm showing you it's been marked as exhibit 649.
Yes.
Is that item number 39 if you look at exhibit 648, the property inventory record?
Yes.
And what is exhibit 39?
Book entitled Corpus, C-O-R-P-U-S, by the author Jean-Luc Nancy,
And where was it taken from?
from a backpack in the victim's bedroom.
And if I put back up on the screen, exhibit 647. Is this the backpack it was taken from?
Yes.
And could you open that book for the jury, please? And if you could just come forward and publish that book for the jury, please.
Come forward and what?
Just publish the book for the jury. And I'd move Exhibit 649 into evidence.
Any objection? All right, 649 will be received, and council would appreciate if you would be in evidence before it's published to the jury.
Sure, sorry, Your Honor.
Thank you.
On March 29th of 2018, then do you recall returning to the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's Office to pick up Alex's clothes?
Yes.
And how were the clothes packaged?
They had them individually packaged inside of a box. It was never necessary for me to go inside that box.
May I approach?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been marked as exhibit number 650. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
And what is it?
It's the evidence log from Ramsey County, and it's receipt number 5651.
And is that your signature in the bottom left-hand side?
Yes, it is.
And this, does this document list the number of items that you took into your possession on March 29th, 2018?
Yes.
And there's a sentence at the bottom that the contents of box was stapled closed but not sealed. Is that your handwriting?
No.
Okay. I'd move exhibit 650 into evidence.
Any objection to 650?
Maybe if we get the publication, I gotta look at it closer, but no objection to its admissibility.
All right, 650 will be received.
And so what, if anything, did you do with the items when you returned to the Dunn County Sheriff's Office?
Run back, straight back to the Sheriff's Department, consulted with one of our evidence technicians, one of our two evidence technicians, Rich Day. We mutually agreed that it would be held in a temporary storage until he could facilitate further processing of that evidence. So it was locked in that temporary storage locker inside the locked evidence room.
I would now like you to come on down, and I'm going to have you open a number of these items. Do you want to wait, Judge, before we do this until after lunch, or do you want to do it now?
Food here.
It's not here yet, but I was told.
Okay, well, let's go until we are notified the food has arrived for the jury. If you'd like to wait till after lunch, as well. I think maybe it's so close to 12, I think that maybe that's what we'll do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to take a renewed break. Probably be about 1:05 or so. When we bring you back in, we'll try to keep it on schedule. Okay, all rise.
I didn't know if Your Honor wanted to cover the sidebars, but before we get to that, I don't know if the state's obviously not done, but I wanted to just give Court Officer Moen the heads up that the defense is going to want items 40, 41, 44, and 45 from Exhibit 648. So I don't know if they're on the other side of the rail there, but if we're on a lunch break, I thought now would be a good time for me to let them know that I intend to cross them about other physical items that are on that list, and those are the ones.
Okay, we'll go back to sidebars, get those cleaned up before we break for lunch. The most recent sidebar was just before the presentation of Exhibit 331 before the jury, and basically the sidebar was to reiterate the defense objection to the showing of those photographs. They were redacted in a manner that was consistent with what the court had said on Friday evening. The nipples were covered from Ms. McCandless. It wasn't a full bar across, but the defense noted their objection, and I just had noted that the objection's noted. Is there any further record either counsel would like to make with respect to Exhibit 331 in that sidebar?
No.
Judge.
Okay. A previous sidebar, 10:49 a.m., and that related to Exhibits 322 and 326. They were published to the jury, however, they were published in the hard copy photograph form and not published through the courtroom media presentation equipment. And those related to photographs of Ms. McCandless. One, I think it was a full body shot from the rear with just underpants on, and the other with pants on but no shirt on. And out of respect for Ms. McCandless' privacy and not having undue embarrassment, the court did sustain an objection to 322 and 326 being projected on the screen and again shown through the media system. Any further comments council would like to make? Mr. Nelson?
No, thank you.
Ms. Nodoff?
No.
All right, and then that takes us back to the sidebar at approximately 9:50 a.m. And that related to some questioning on cross-examination of Dr. Tillotson by Attorney Vishny and the area of BDSM, and there were some questions about knife play. The court had indicated it essentially sustained an objection but allowed the defense to ask one more question, and that was basically whether Dr. Tillotson was familiar with that. And counsel went on, the question was asked, and he was not aware of it, so that was the end of that particular inquiry. Anything further either counsel would like to make a record on that particular sidebar?
No.
Okay. All right, any other sidebars that I have missed?
No, Judge, there's one matter I want to take up before we're back, though.
Okay. When you're ready.
Your Honor, on this property inventory record from the search warrant at the victim's residence, seized from the victim's residence were 4 different condoms.
We agree that those are irrelevant and should be blanked out. We're not going to mention them.
Okay, then that's settled.
So there won't be reference made of it?
Right, the state's position is those condoms are irrelevant.
All right, the defense agrees?
We're not going to make, we agree that we're not going to make mention of them in 648. I can't imagine a way that they're relevant, but for this witness at this time, I agree.
Okay, very well. Anything further?
No.
Okay, then we'll have our noon recess, and I ask counsel to be ready to proceed at 1:05 p.m. with the next witness.
Officer, are you able to read that? Okay.
Yes.
Would you mind reading what that book is about for the jury?
Top to bottom?
Yes, please.
Okay. So praise for corpus. Jean-Luc Nancy gives us bodies in their gravitational weight, their mutual touch, their joy and their devastation, their self-evident presence and their constant elusiveness. From the dazzlingly layered complications of the opening corpus to the meditatively personal accessibility of the closing, the intruder, these essays display the necessary connections and mutual exclusions of flesh and word. Nancy's work on bodies, already canonical, engages traditions we thought we knew. Platonism, Cartesianism, Christianity, and shows us how much newness is possible still. By Carmen McKendrick, Lemoyne College. Next paragraph, how have we thought the body? How can we think it anew? The body of mortal creatures, the body politic, the body of letters and of laws, the mystical body of Christ. All these and others are incorporated in the word corpus, the title and topic of Jean-Luc Nancy's masterwork. The long-awaited English translation is a bold, bravura rendering. To the title essay are added 5 closely related recent pieces, including a commentary by Antonio Birnbaum, dedicated in large part to the legacy of the mind-body problem, formulated by Descartes, and the challenge it poses to rethinking the ancient problems of the corpus. The last and most poignant of these essays is The Intruder, Nancy's philosophical meditation on his heart transplant. The book also serves as the opening move in Nancy's larger project called The Deconstruction of Christianity.
That's good. Thank you very much. And officer, this was the book that was located in the backpack near Alex's bed, is that right?
Yes.
And then if I could ask you to get a new pair of gloves on and come on down to open some of the items that you picked up from the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's Office. I'm going to have you start with Exhibit 227.
Okay. Open it.
Yes, what does it indicate? Is it inside?
Scarf.
Okay, yep, if you could open it. 227. And is that the scarf you remember from the autopsy?
It is.
And are you able to, do you observe any cuts or anything on that scarf?
I don't see any cuts.
Okay, thank you, and move exhibit, is that the same scarf you remember from the autopsy?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'd move exhibit 227 into evidence.
Any objection to 227?
No objection.
Exhibit 227 will be received.
Then if I could have you move to exhibit 228, it would be the sweater. Yep. And is that the same sweater you recall from the autopsy?
Yes, it is.
Again, just a reminder, let's not be published into the jury until the item of evidence is received.
If it's helpful, Judge, assuming this is all of Alex's clothing, we do not object to the admission or the publication.
All right.
Okay, thank you, and move exhibit 228 into evidence.
Okay, Exhibit 228 will be received.
Next, if you could open 229, which would be a sock.
Are you offering 229?
Yes, please.
Okay, 229 will be received, and again, you may publish.
Okay, thank you. And if you could turn to 230, the other sock.
Are you offering 230?
Yes.
230 will be received. May publish.
Thank you, and if you could show the jury as well. All right, and then if I could turn to Exhibit 231. I believe that's the underwear, and I'd move Exhibit 231 into evidence.
Exhibit 231 will be received.
Can you show the back of it as well to the jury? Thank you. Okay, thank you. And then Exhibit 232 is the last one. I believe it's the pants with a belt.
With belt, yes.
Move Exhibit 232 into evidence.
232 will be received and may be published.
Thank you. And you can take the gloves off. I don't have any further questions for Officer Kurtzhals.
All right, any cross-examination?
Yes, please.
Kurtzhals.
Kurtzhals. Mr. Kurtzhals, you mentioned when you first got there, you brought a report with you, is that right?
Yes.
You've made out a police report, or what we commonly call a police report regarding this, correct?
Yes, sir.
You initially, you said you were the sergeant of investigations?
Yes.
Does that mean basically you're in charge of the investigators?
Yes.
Okay. And so, a case like this comes in, there's somebody that's deceased, there's an investigation about a homicide, you're in charge of task assignments, as well as probably lots of other things, but certainly assigning tasks.
Correct.
What else?
Overseeing the entire operation, everything from the initial securing of the scene to collecting the evidence, interviewing potential witnesses, calling in the state crime lab for their assistance, calling in the Wisconsin State Patrol so they can do a schematic to scale of the area, securing search warrants, maintaining the evidence, making sure it's the chain of evidence is followed correctly, that the evidence is secured in a fashion where it's not compromised, doing complete reports, making sure that everybody involved in the process, investigators, people from the crime lab, Wisconsin State Patrol, ambulance crew, they've all submitted the required reports, conducting follow-up investigations, consulting with the district attorney, having follow-on briefings, progress briefings with everybody that was involved. We had several of those, all the way up until today, my duties here in the court.
At some point, you're in a different uniform than Dunn County Sheriff's Department, right?
Yes, sir.
When did you leave the Dunn County Sheriff's Department?
January of this year,
Okay, January of 2018, of 2019.
19.
I just made a mistake. Do you know who took over your role as Sergeant of Investigators after that?
I don't believe they have a sergeant in that section anymore, it's just investigators now. Now they fall under the bailiwick of, I believe,
They fall in what?
the bailiwick, the supervision of someone else, not a sergeant investigation. I think they've restructured that.
Okay. And when you left Dunn County Sheriff's Department, I imagine your responsibilities of overseeing the entire investigation of this case left when you left the job, correct?
Correct.
I mean, you're still here telling us about what you did when you worked for Dunn County, is that right?
Correct.
But once you left Dunn County, you haven't done any additional work since January of 2019, other than your testimony in this case, right?
That's right.
And as the Sergeant of Investigations, a lot of people are giving you information, correct?
Yes, sir.
And basically, you're collecting information from other people in law enforcement, right?
Law enforcement, the state crime lab, I suppose you can consider them law enforcement, EMS personnel, witnesses for witness statements, those
Okay.
sorts of things. Yeah.
And sometimes in your role, you're also making out reports, as you did in this case, right?
Yes, sir.
And in your reports, you're again wanting to gather up all the information that's been provided to you and document it in some way, correct?
Correct.
And in this case, you made out a report in which you wrote down some of the information that you'd gathered, correct?
Yes, sir.
Including that, quote, she had superficial cuts on her lips, neck, hands, and the word boy scratched into her arm, correct?
Correct.
So you had written in your report documentation of a cut to her neck, is that right?
Correct.
And that was information that you had got as the Sergeant of Investigations, correct?
Right.
You took place, you were there at Alex Woodworth's apartment, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And we saw some of the photos. Do I need gloves on to move that book, or can I just move it?
I think you can move it, there's no.
Just
Okay, do you want to
asking.
use gloves or for any reason?
I have no reason, don't want to make a boo-boo here. Does anybody want me to use gloves? Otherwise, I'm just going to pick it up and move it.
Why don't you speak up?
Great. Pictures of.
I think there's 645, 647.
45, 6, and 7. The photos, 645, 646, and 647 up there. Oh, we found it.
I might have taken
So I want to ask you some questions about these photos that you previously testified about, okay?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to just put them up on the screen so we can all know what we're,
Have those been received?
yes, I believe they have.
Oh, yes, they're there.
Permission to publish, I think they already have.
Thank you.
Showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 646, is that right?
Yes, Amy?
Yes, sir. That's the picture of the bookshelf from Alex's apartment, is that right?
That's correct.
And there's, fair to say, nearly 100 books. We haven't counted them, neither you, or at least I haven't. Have you counted the books?
No, sir.
But you'd agree it's,
That sounds fair.
oops, went the wrong way. There we go. And of the books that we're talking about, like this book corpus and some of the other books I'm going to ask you about, this wasn't on the shelf, was it?
Correct.
The book corpus, which is exhibit.
$648.
649, I believe.
Okay.
648 is the evidence log.
Correct.
649 is the actual book. That book was not on that shelf, agreed?
Yes, sir.
Where was it?
In a book bag on the floor, to the left of the mattress on the floor.
Okay. And so on Exhibit 648, that's the evidence list, is that right?
Yes.
The item number 40, we'll eventually open these up, but I just want to go through the list here. Item number 40, a journal titled Dream Tree Simple and Elegant. Was that found in a backpack on the floor?
Yes, sir.
Same backpack that had this book, Corpus?
I believe so.
Item number 41, a leather cover journal with notes and writings. Is that also from the backpack?
I do not know.
Item number 44, a ledger book containing writings of Alex Woodworth. Was that also from the backpack?
I don't know.
Item number 45, a book entitled Fear and Trembling by Soren Kierkegaard. That was from the bookshelf according to this?
Yes, sir.
Other than the book Fear and Trembling, did anyone collect any of these other books that we see the spines of in this picture here?
To my knowledge, no.
Were you the one that picked out Fear and Trembling and decided to collect that in evidence?
No.
Do you know who did that?
No, sir.
So you wouldn't be able to say why that one book in particular was taken out?
I don't know.
Why don't we, do you have Exhibit 45 there, or Mr. Moen might be able to help us? If you could bring out 40, 41, 44, and 45, please, sir. 40, 41, 44, and 45, please. And the item, the numbers that I just gave you are item numbers. Thank you. Item number 40 from Exhibit 268 has been individually labeled Exhibit 651. Is that right?
Item number 40, 651, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, the exhibit number is 268 or?
It's exhibit number
Exhibit 651
651.
is item 40 on the list on Exhibit 648. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Exhibit 652 is item 41 from the list on Exhibit 648. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Exhibit 263 is item 44 from the list on Exhibit 648. Agreed?
Yes.
And Exhibit 654 is item 45 from that same list on Exhibit 648. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
I look at yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to ask you to open up Exhibit 654, sir. Open it, but just don't pull it out yet.
Yes, sir.
And if you can just peek in on your own, but don't show anybody else, just peek in on your own.
Okay.
Does that appear to be the book title that's listed on exhibit? Move for the admission of the exhibit in your hand, sir. 654?
Any objection to 654?
No objection to any of the evidence.
Permission to publish?
All right, 654 will be received. Are you also offering 651, 52, and 53? State is not objecting, so
I will be offering 651, 652, and 653, and 654, yes.
okay. So those items will be received. You have those, Madam Clerk? 651 through 654.
Permission to publish all when they get to that point? You may. What's the book in 645? Can you pull that out and show the jury?
It's 654.
654, I
It's a
transposed
book
it.
entitled Fear and Trembling.
Why don't you pull it out and show
What-
that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat what you said?
Fear and Trembling.
Can you again display and show that to the jury?
Everybody see that?
I'm gonna, wherever you're comfortable, sir, I'm gonna ask you some questions about that and the other exhibits. You're welcome to go sit down, you're welcome to stand there. I don't wanna tell you where to go, wherever you're comfortable.
Okay.
What you're telling us is the book Fear and Trembling from Exhibit 654 was found on the bookshelf, is that right?
Yes, from the short bookshelf.
Okay. And you don't know why that book in particular was the one and only book taken from that bookshelf, do you?
I do not.
You know, when you did it, it was just law enforcement in there, correct?
Correct.
There was nobody from the prosecution team there, agreed?
Agreed.
There was nobody from, no defense attorneys that were there in any way, right?
Right.
It was just law enforcement, right?
Yes, sir.
And some law enforcement officer made a decision to collect and pick that book out in particular, right?
Yes, sir.
Have you familiar with that book?
No.
Okay. The other book that we had you read, are you familiar with that book, other than you just read the back?
It's not my type of book.
I appreciate that. Same thing with the Fear and Loathing, that's not your type of book?
Correct.
And do you know anything about the book other than what's on the cover?
Nope.
So you're just saying that's not my type of book based upon what you see on the cover, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do I have permission to put that publish it on the screen?
Go ahead.
Is there any reason, again, I can't pick it up, or I'm just gonna pick up the evidence pieces and I won't touch the book? Do you know, did anybody take an inventory of the other books that were on the shelf here?
No.
Okay. Just these two photos, 645 and 646, are essentially the documentation that we have of what would be in Alex Woodworth's library, right?
Yes.
The book shown in Exhibit 647, that book, does it appear to be written by Derrida?
Something close to that, yes.
Jacques Derrida, D-E-R-R-I-D-A.
Yes.
That book was not collected?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. Again, probably not a book that you're familiar with or know anything about?
That would be correct.
Okay. There was some other items that were collected from the backpack, is that right?
Yes.
And that is the items 651, 652, and 653. I'm going to ask you to open those now and
Okay.
display those to the jury. We could just go through them each so you can,
651.
Go ahead.
And the item that you just pulled out of that was out of Exhibit 651, is that right? That's correct. And the title of that is Dream Tree, Simple and Elegant. Looks like that was printed, pre-printed on that, what we'll call a journal, is that right?
Correct.
And then on the front it says, Notes, October 19th, 2017 dash through, is that right?
Yes, sir.
It says something similar on the binding, is that right?
Yes.
Can you just open that up? The first page, is that signed by somebody?
Alex Woodworth.
From October 19, 2017 is what it writes.
Yes.
Reads, correct?
Yes.
And can we turn to the first page just to, it appears the first entry is October 19th of 2017.
Yes.
And then if we can scroll all the way to the, we don't have to go page by page, sir. Go to the last page just so we can get an end date if there is.
Looks like,
It ends on page 37,
that's what it looks like, yes.
and it appears to be, actually, if we can go back, yeah. That entry appears to be undated, or maybe it's the November 20th, 2017 date?
Correct.
Okay. And on the top of page 35, it appears to be making reference to Corpus by Jean-Luc Nancy, correct?
It does.
That's the same book that we previously referenced, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Do you know, as you're, if you can open that up, on page, again, can I, any objection to my handling it, Your Honor?
Well, perhaps you should use a glove.
That's fine.
One here.
Well, if you don't want to make you have to do things, but if you're gloved, are you helpful? Can you come over this way, sir? Can you show on, can permission to publish, Judge?
Well, publish what? We're not going to go through that whole thing right now.
I'm not going to go page by page. There are particular markings that I just want to reference.
No.
Can I?
What do you have in mind, time-wise?
Again, I'd have to look at it, but I think there are, where do you want to go? One, I'm just looking for other page numbers here. Oh, sure. Four doodlings I'd like to ask him about, Judge.
Judge, can we have a sidebar on this?
Yeah, let's have a sidebar. All right, you may proceed.
Thanks. I just, while we were standing here in the courtroom, you kind of quickly breezed through the book and you noticed four different doodles, is that right?
I did.
At page 1, page 25, page 27, and page 35, is that right?
Correct.
Could you show us the doodle on page number 1?
I'm sorry, can I hear this page numbers?
1, 25, 27, and 35. There it is. So it's displayed up on the screen, oh, I guess you can look behind me too, that's fine, is the doodle from page 1, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you show us the one on page 25? Again, that's the a cat with some hearts on it on page 25.
Yes.
And then the page 27, that appears to be some other object perhaps orientated upside down from the way we're viewing it now. Does it appear to say the word peach next to a drawing of what may appear to be a peach?
Yes.
And then on page 35, is there another doodle there?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions I have about that. We can move on to the next exhibit, sir. Take whichever one you want, that's fine.
Got 652 here?
Thank you. done with this one, I'm going to ask you to open the other one too. So whether you want to do them both at the same time or not, I'm going to defer to you, but I just wanted to let you know where we're going.
Okay. So this would be number 652.
Read the front cover there.
Just now, as I'm reaching the end and everything is finished for me, I know that I have to start all over at the beginning.
That's the writing from the, is that the back cover?
That's the back.
And what's the front say?
I met a man walking through a briar patch. He was looking for the rose promised by the thorns.
If you can open up the, what does the front cover say?
For a God who isn't, signed by Alex Woodworth.
Okay, and that journal, that book, if you start, there's a table of contents.
There is.
Can you turn the next page?
Page 19, 20 is the last page.
All right, so there's 20 entries in there, is that right?
Yes.
And there's a table of contents in the beginning that's accurate to the first couple of writings, but then there's some included that aren't on the table of contents, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. What's the next exhibit then, sir?
So the next exhibit would be exhibit number 653.
Front cover, what is that? There you go.
You want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Extra Shriver, September 2017 through February 2018, plus from the past.
Can you perhaps display it on there so we can all see the writing? There we go. Great. Sorry, if you could then just again, does it seem to correspond with the dates on the front cover there? What's the front, when you open the book, what does it say? Is there a name in there?
Alex Woodworth.
Okay, and then as you just, again, just briefly, let's go to the front page and then the last page. Is there a table of contents?
There is.
And does it start with October 23rd?
2017, yes.
And it appears to be, at least on this front, 20 different writings that are referenced on that, is that correct, on the front page?
On the front page.
And then if you turn the page, there's another 25 to go up to number 45, is that right?
Yes.
And then as the journal is essentially filled, is that right? Does it go all the way to the end?
All the way to the end.
Ends at page 192,
It does.
and that's dated February 3rd, 2018.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Those are all been admitted, is that right, Judge? Yes. Okay. Those, just, the three items that we just opened up, 651, 52, and 653, just, do we informally agree to call those journals?
Yes.
Those journals were all found in a backpack. Is that your understanding?
I don't know if they're all found in the backpack.
Okay,
At least 2 of the 3.
okay. And where was the, and the 2 of the 3 were, which ones? You can just tell me the item number and all.
The leather, item number 41, leather cover journal.
So Exhibit 6.
I'm not sure if that came from the backpack or not.
Okay, Exhibit 652, item 41 is the one that you're not sure where that came
Yeah,
from.
I don't know where that came from.
Okay, but Exhibit 651, which was item 40, that came from the backpack?
It's, yes, yes, sir.
And the one we just talked about, the extra Scrivener, Exhibit 653, that came, item number 44, that came from the backpack?
I don't know where that one came from.
Okay,
So is one of the 3 that I can definitively say came from the backpack. I don't know about the other 2.
and you don't have a memory as you sit here today where it was that those came from?
No, sir.
Okay. As part of this case, you also sometimes took direction from District Attorney Nodoff, is that right?
Yes.
One of the directions that you took was to follow up on, to investigate mental health providers regarding Ms. McCandless, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Action relevance?
Sidebar.
I think the objection's overruled, is that right, Judge?
Objection's overruled. Objection's overruled, however, again,
I understand the limits.
the limit, there's some limit.
You did some investigation into mental health providers that Ezra McCandless may have seen, is that right?
Yes.
You went to the Eau Claire County Victim Witness Office, is that right?
Yes.
You spoke with somebody there, is that right?
Yes.
You corroborated that Ms. McCandless had spoke with a victim witness advocate from Eau Claire County, is that right?
Correct.
And that she had been referred to the Bolton Refuge House, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
In the Bolton Refuge House, you're familiar with that?
Yes, I am.
What is it?
It's it's confidential, safe house for victims of abuse, physical and mental abuse.
Fair to say that they provide services for people impacted by domestic violence and sexual assault?
Yes, sir.
You also went and spoke with someone at the Eau Claire Crisis Response Team, is that right?
I don't know if I went and spoke to them. Some of these were phone calls.
I
I wanted to
apologize.
speak to somebody on the phone, I believe, on that one.
You spoke with somebody from the Eau Claire Crisis Response Team, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Kristen Wojtowicz?
You did better than I did.
Wojtalewicz, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. You spoke with that person?
Yes.
Actually, I apologize. I think I may have misled you. I don't want to do that. You spoke with Jeff Wilson, who told you he referred Ezra to a woman whose name I can't pronounce. Is that right?
Entry 2. Correct, that's correct.
Okay. And then as long as we're on, you then contacted Chippewa County District Attorney, correct?
I did.
And Ms. McCandless, you were aware lived in Stanley, is that right?
One of many places, yes.
And Stanley is in Chippewa County, is that right?
It is.
So you reached out to the Chippewa County to speak with Kristen, because that's where Kristen was now working, who had previously been in the Eau Claire Crisis Response Team, is that right?
Yes.
And then you learned that she had also referred Ms. McCandless to the Bolton Refuge House, is that right?
Correct.
And she'd also referred Ms. McCandless to the Chippewa Falls Family Support Center, correct?
Yes,
And then you eventually contacted the Chippewa Falls Family Support Center, correct?
yes, with Ms. Kara Dorzak.
Okay. And fair to say that they were not willing to, if the Chippewa Falls Family Support Center was not willing to share information for you unless you had a release or a warrant, is that right?
Correct.
You certainly know how to obtain a search warrant, is that right?
Objection, argumentative.
State,
Have you obtained a search warrant in the past in your career, sir?
Objection, can we have a sidebar?
Did you obtain the records from the Chippewa Falls Family Support Center?
No,
Do you know if anybody from the Dunn County Sheriff's Department has done so since you've left?
Objection, relevance.
Just saying, relevant, but again,
Mr. Nelson, let's,
I'm almost done.
okay, good.
Are you aware if anybody else has obtained those records?
no.
Those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay, any redirect?
You were asked earlier about your report regarding the defendant's injuries. Do you remember that?
Yes,
Did you actually observe the defendant's injuries yourself?
no.
And you were asked some questions, Scrubbage, about the Fear and Trembling book.
Correct.
I believe that's exhibit 654. If I could publish the back of it for the jury.
You may.
There we go. Could you please read the back of this book for the jury, please?
Sure. In Fear and Trembling, Kierkegaard, writing under the pseudonym Johannes de Silento, expounds his personal view of religion through a discussion of the scene in Genesis in which Abraham prepares to sacrifice his son at God's command. Believing Abraham's unreserved obedience to the essential leap of faith needed to make a full commitment to his religion, Kierkegaard himself made great sacrifices in order to dedicate his life entirely to his philosophy and to God. The conviction shown in this religious polemic that a man can have an exceptional mission in life informed all Kierkegaard's later writings and was also hugely influential for both Protestant theology and the existentialist movement. Alistair Hannay's introduction elucidates Kierkegaard's philosophy and the ways in which it conflict with more accepted contemporary views. This edition also includes detailed notes to complement this groundbreaking analysis of religion and a new chronology. Translated with an introduction by Alistair Hannay.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any recross based upon that redirect?
Sure. On the back of the book, there was some talk about the story of Abraham, is that right?
Yes,
Are you familiar with the story of Abraham?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
Are you familiar with the story of Abraham and his attempt to sacrifice his son Isaac?
yes,
There's also some mention on the back of that book about existentialism, is that right?
correct.
Are you familiar with existentialism?
No.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Officer Kurtzhals. You may step down.